Well, hi, everybody. It's my pleasure to get to share with you the steps in building a medical education escape room. Here are our objectives, and really it's for you to walk away being able to list those key steps, and most importantly, for you to use the materials we provide you to go home and build one of these on your own. And I think that's very exciting. Starting with the definition, Nicholson 2015, escape rooms are team-based events, so it's a social component where players work together to solve puzzles. And the idea is to achieve a common goal. Usually that's escaping the room, which is why it's called that. And it's all done under time pressure. Now, before I talk about how to do it, I do want to briefly address why. Do you want to do this? And I would implore you to say yes. Here's a nice review by Ray entitled "Not Another Boring Resident Didactic Conference." And it lists about a dozen different things you can do for interactive learning. An escape room is just one of those things, to be clear. But the idea is it really helps you to capture and maintain your learner's attention. Now, that's just the first step. The education piece is the important part. But if you don't have that attention up front, they're not going to remember your content otherwise. And this really provides another tool that you can use to do that. My colleagues have touched on gamification and some of the game theory concepts. There's a lot of value to incorporating these elements into your teaching. They're all listed here. I just want to touch on that social component under mechanics, and then the intrinsic rewards that come from achieving something together. Now, escape rooms go back early 1990s. There's click-through video games. There was the Crystal Maze, which was live action. The first commercial escape room is usually credited to Kyoto, Japan in 2007. And since then, there's been over 50,000 commercial escape rooms around the world. But how about medical education escape rooms? They can be used for medical knowledge because using a simulation task trainer can be one of the puzzles. It can help with procedures. And all of these have been published. And I think the Hayden article and then our article in Chest really summarizes these nicely. You can take your team to just a regular commercial escape room, and that's fine. And that would help you with certain ACGME milestones and competencies, such as patient care number 8. There's some task switching involved, and certainly you're allowed to practice communication and leadership in the room. And then there's some small references looking at interprofessional education, which makes sense if your team players are from different disciplines and professions. And then some fun pieces on recruitment. And because it's a fun activity, it's really just nice for your team's wellness. It's been studied in all different types of learners, several papers looking at nurses, our pharmacy colleagues, and then every level of physician education to include the CME level. There's one small European emergency medicine conference that tried to pull this off, and then we started doing it in 2019. A picture's worth 1,000 words. Let me show you. I should have known you would volunteer. The situation is much worse than we feared. The SS Kornfeld is missing, lost contact about 6 hours ago. But it was on a special delivery mission, on orders not to stop, and then it heard some distress signal. It was transporting a prototype, a vaccine that both prevents and cures all known parenchymal lung disease. Imagine a world, no emphysema, no lung cancer, no pulmonary fibrosis. We'll transport you in, and then you're on your own. There's too much radiation for communication, and because this is disputed territory, to say the least, you have to power up the ship and get out of there with the vaccine. The health, the fate of 100 billion people on different worlds is in your hands. If anyone can do it, you can. Good luck. Kelly up. So that's the hook, and there's a party background. This is Chess 2019 outside the ballroom. One of my co-authors there, Vren Call, in his facilitator uniform. People having fun. There's a curtain here to build suspense, and the actual escape room is behind that curtain. One of our many builders there. I'm stopping to say hello to him. And then watch real quick, just another few seconds. Go behind the curtain, and you're completely immersed. You know, over here you have to look at histology and pathology. Over here, it's not just ultrasound, but your patient is actually an alien with real pathology. And here you can see some different props, a lot of different things happening. We had some robotic stuff and other puzzles, a lot of visuals. And then over here at another station, you'll see June Shea, one of our facilitators, helping out.
Oh, sorry. I'm new to the ship. I don't really know.
So she's a facilitator in the room, which serves different purposes. And just like a lifesaver scenario facilitator in your simulation exercises, really keeps the activity going, but she still plays as if she doesn't have the medical knowledge to give them the answer. So your first step of 12 steps, and again, this is outlined in great detail and a couple of references we're sharing with you at the end, is form that design team. These are my colleagues here for the past couple of years, and you really want to have people you like working with from different backgrounds, different areas of expertise, but you're going to be working with them a lot. And also, this is your facilitator pool. These are the faculty for your event, so you really want to be on the same page. You might be able to get away with just you and maybe one or two other people at your institution. If it's going to be a big national meeting, this is just some of the group you need. This was the end of the night in 2019. Everyone's kind of exhausted, but exhilarated. And you see some of our props and equipment there. Defining the learning objectives comes next, and that's very important. You know, what's the knowledge? What's the procedural skill you want them to walk away with? And like Moral talked about in 2020, it's most appropriate to reinforce something they're familiar with, something they learned earlier, rather than introduce brand new concepts in an escape room. Logistics are important. Is it your group of fellows? Is it residents, medical students? Is it going to be a combination and you have to provide content for everybody? Time, if you have 6 fellows, a 1-hour noon conference is plenty for a great escape room. But if you have 30 learners, you're going to have to space it out over different days. Physical requirements are important, but don't let that intimidate you. You might have a ballroom at a conference center if it's a big conference, but you can even do just an escape box. That's your regular conference room at your hospital. People are just in there, but they have to open a box in the room. It could be an ornate thing you build in your garage like this. It could simply be a cardboard box as shown with the padlock, and they read x-rays, they interpret ABGs, they do things that give them the combination to open that box and get their reward. Hopefully this won't happen again, but when there's a pandemic, you switch to an online Zoom call, a video call, you show a PowerPoint, and then you go into different rooms and solve puzzles. But then again, your faculty pool has to be brought up to scale. You have to bring in a lot of facilitators, and then your training needs and rehearsal requirements go up. Crafting a story, it's that willing suspension of disbelief, that's important. And that really maintains people's attention and raises the stakes for whatever puzzles you're trying to have them do. When it comes to step 5, brainstorming the task and props, there's a lot of help out there, a lot of free resources on how to build an escape room, even some paid consulting services you can do. Individual puzzles are free online. These are crosswords, word searches. You enter in your medical terms and the puzzles are built for you and you can print them out for your learners. And there's also a few detailed examples out there. We're going to provide you with 3, including our own, at the end of the session. One quick example, this is from our virtual escape room, Dr. Town's room. As you can gather here, we're looking at combining or studying or testing clinical history with imaging and then lung pathology. But because our theme is a spaceship that's been damaged, this was converted into circuits that have to be repaired to repair the ship and to escape. Keep it simple in terms of the flow initially. And then the blueprint is so important, the game flow. You can have it be linear, where one puzzle solved leads to another puzzle, leads to another puzzle. We chose parallel play, where people could work separately, and they had to solve 3 of 5 puzzles to get out of the room. And like Nicholson and others recommend, which makes sense, start off with a couple easy puzzles to build confidence, and you don't want your learners to hit a wall right out of the gate. And then this is live theater. So things are going to go wrong. They can go wrong. You have to prepare your faculty. If it's a physical escape room, people are going to break props, walk away with props. So you have to have spares. And but more importantly, you have to protect that learner and think about anything that could possibly come up. Here's a page from our multi-page, 10-page facilitator guide. For the ultrasound station, what if, it would be rare, but what if people did not know, learners did not know what a normal heart looked like? Rather than ground the game to a halt right there, we had some things such as, oh, this looks like my heart at my physical exam, and I feel fine, so that's good, right? these coaching prompts and phrases to help people move on, and in the rare event that there's any kind of unprofessional behavior, but it's planning for the unexpected with the script. Pilot testing is critical. We piloted our room several times. We found out that one of the puzzles with the lights on it was too bright. We couldn't adjust the light, so we had to then buy sunglasses for people to protect them. We also realized that some things were not that intuitive. You have to pilot with people that did not do the build, that are kind of secret shoppers, that are unbiased to go through the room, and that's very informative. And then most of your learning is going to come through the debrief. Kolb, 1984, in terms of learning in general, that reflection on action is where a lot of the learning gets consolidated. You could ask your learners, what went well? What do you want to change? The plus delta model. And this is your last chance to clarify those key learning objectives. Our players left with a little booklet of different teaching points. Here's one page from that booklet, or part of a page looking at ultrasound anatomy. This really consolidates and allows for some spaced education. But that debrief is two ways. We incorporated feedback from our learners, what they liked, what they didn't, and you can make real-time changes even the night of your event as you go from one group to another based on that feedback. This is Boturi and the STAR model, the International Journal of Serious Games. That's a journal. There's several journals looking at games. And I like it because it covers both the content and the context of escape rooms, and it specifies their game flow and constraints, which I wanted to emphasize one more time before I part with you. Here's some of our happy players after they escape the room. If you film this QR code, it'll take you to a bunch of PDF articles, real world examples, and some great supporting materials. But please do reach out to me, reach out to us. We'd love to help you have a successful educational escape room event back at your institution. Thank you.